are certain emojis that only ChatGPT will generate in its post. So there are certain ways of writing that you can identify, okay, this is AI generated.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another new episode of Why People Buy. And today we have with us a very interesting personality, someone who has cracked LinkedIn as a platform and is today an influencer with more than 71,000 followers on LinkedIn. Besides that, Avni also is a certified yoga instructor. She has spent her time before becoming an influencer also working in companies such as BCG. So she understands strategy behind things and is now in the execution mode, if I may put it that way. Avni, welcome. Really awesome to have you here today and to chat with you over the next few minutes.
Thank you so much, Aditi. Thank you for the introduction and thank you for having me here for this conversation.
Absolutely, Avni. Absolutely. I think you basically started your LinkedIn journey sometime back, and in as short a period as 7 months, you went to a 70K plus followers, which is just phenomenal, right? So tell us, how did this happen? Tell us, what was an aha moment, or did it happen accidentally? Was there a post that went viral that made you realize that, hey, you know what, this is something I want to do? Would love to hear about that.
Yeah. So I think accidental would be the correct word to go ahead with. I always have been writing. It's just that I never shared my writing with anyone. I wanted to start a blog for a very long time, but it is a lot of commitment. So one day I just thought, a lot of people are writing on LinkedIn, people are sharing their thoughts, their journey with people. So I just started sharing little bit pieces from my life, my story, and I did not expect that it will grow. I will have an audience. People will, relate so much with my content. It just happened, and within a week of posting, I think my third or fourth post went viral, and I was like, okay, it's something that people are relating a lot with, and this is something that maybe I can continue, and let me just experiment doing this thing consistently and see where it goes. So that is how it started. It was never a thought that I will be a content creator or influencer, maybe as the term or something. It just happened, through sharing stories, learnings, sharing, talking about the misconceptions of MBA, consulting, or different journeys that I have been through in my personal and professional life so far. So that is how it happened.
Very exciting. So you stumbled upon the influencer or the audience part of it, but you always were a content creator at heart. Uh, and when you started, posting, did you decide? Did you have like a strategy in place that I want to start posting about like these five things? Or did you know, a little bit more about how to post, what kind of formats to use, or did you learn as you went?
So I think when I started, it was just me writing and sharing my piece. I did not have a strategy because, like I said, I never thought of it as content creation. I just thought of it as me sharing my journey with people. And even if like one or two people can benefit from my story, my learning, that was good enough for me. And I used to get DMs from people. So that is saying that, this was very relatable. This helped me a lot reading this, knowing that I'm not alone, and that kind of kept me going. And going forward, when I connected with more and more creators, that's when I started learning that, okay, people are doing it in a very strategic way. And I started talking to more and more people. Then I started experimenting with different types of content, different types, as in also formats: long format, short format, maybe picture, text, or there is different kind of, like, I'll talk about MBA, consulting, I'll talk about business, maybe I'll talk about marketing. So that is a different kind of niche of content that I started experimenting with and seeing what works, what doesn't work with my audience. And of course, the growth curve hasn't been linear. It is never linear. It is like initially it grew a lot, and then at a point after 50K followers or something, I grew to 50K followers in 4 months. And after that, it became little slow, right? So it is very much dependent on, and at a certain point you also reach a creative block also. So lots of things are there, it's a mix. I still feel that I am still experimenting, but to an extent I understand the kind of audience that follows me, and I know certain pieces of content that will definitely work, and certain pieces which I know that okay, this might or might not work. So now it has become little strategic in a way that, I will think in a week what kind of content I want to put out. Maybe one piece will be a humor piece, one is going to be an educational piece about MBA, one is going to be talking about my corporate journey, one could be talking about my failure experience or something. So that is how you can strategize. I would still say that I'm not very particular about calendarizing that. A lot of creators do that. They have a calendar where they say that this day of the week I'm going to post this kind of content. I wouldn't say I've reached there. I'm still trying to wrap you know things wrap my head around, okay, this is the kind of content and everything I'm posting, because this is not something that you're doing full time. So it it takes up whatever bandwidth you have, you give to this, and then that is how it has been going so far. So yeah.
Very interesting. And LinkedIn, I guess, is also very different as a platform versus the other platforms that exist, right? And let's delve a little bit into the 101 of LinkedIn. Anybody and everybody I know in my professional circles has a LinkedIn profile, right? Some of them do post, some of them are just consumers, and some of them might not even be active, but they still will have a presence on LinkedIn, right? So what do you think is the psychology of the audience, not just specific to your followers but in general, the psychology of people who come to LinkedIn to consume content? Because the same people also go to
Hmm.
Instagram, they also go to YouTube, right? So what is the mindset with which you think people come to LinkedIn? What
Hmm.
are your insights on that?
Got it. So to answer that, let me just uh, make it very real for you, right? So when do you open these different tabs? Like when you wake up in the morning, first thing probably that you do is maybe scroll a little bit Instagram while you're doing your day, and then go ahead with your day. When you get in the mode of going to the office, or you are en route office and all, that is the time when you probably open LinkedIn and see, okay, what is happening, what are the updates, what's happening in the professional world, right? Then again, you go throughout the day, you have your work and everything. At the end of the day, then that is the time when you want to do some mindless scrolling. So then for that you will probably open Instagram for some entertaining content, for some entertainment or fun and all. So that is the psychology behind when what is the time when you open these apps, and what is your goal behind opening. This is beyond the job search and everything, because we're talking about content and content consumption. So this is how you are ending up on these apps. So your psychology when opening a certain app is also different, right? So when I'm opening LinkedIn, my mode is not of entertainment, right? So if I see entertainment, like you would have seen a lot of jokes where people say that, oh, LinkedIn is becoming Instagram, LinkedIn is becoming this. So that is the line that is getting blurred now that the content creation has become something on a platform like LinkedIn. But the psychology of the person who's opening LinkedIn is still coming with the mindset that it is a professional platform, it's a networking platform, and that is the kind of content they are also expecting to see. That maybe something educational, something that I can gain value from, or maybe sometimes something humorous also. Humor also works a lot on LinkedIn, right? Humor. So that is the psychology of the person who's opening that particular app. Like I will not open LinkedIn at 10 p.m. in the night, but I might scroll through Instagram or Twitter or watch YouTube at 10 p.m. in the night, right? So that is the thought behind whoever is the audience and who is opening that particular app at that point in time. So that also is a huge difference point in these platforms, and how people perceive these platforms and why they go to these platforms, right? For majority of people, I would still say LinkedIn is not a content kind of platform as of now. For them it is just a networking platform to connect with people, to search for jobs, opportunities and all. But now, over the past year that I have seen, it is still growing, and to validate that, you would also see that LinkedIn has introduced a feature where there is this toggle of saying when you're posting, you can choose whether it's a brand partnership or not, right? Which shows that brands and marketers are recognizing LinkedIn as a marketing channel and as a platform to reach a certain audience for B2B leads or D2C or whatever, or just to create a perception about their brand or company. So it is growing, and LinkedIn has recognized it. LinkedIn is promoting creators. So that is the difference that is coming now. Of course, it is going to evolve a lot in the coming time, but the toggle itself is proof that this is something that is actually happening, and companies and brands are realizing. And even when I work with companies, I tell them that this is how LinkedIn will work for you, this is the kind of ROI that you will get on LinkedIn. So then doing those kind of pilots, and brands also recognize, so they put in some money, then they'll put more money because they realize the value and the ROI that they're getting. And I've seen it happen with companies, right? So that is how LinkedIn as a platform is growing in terms of content.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn also started this sort of game a little bit later, not just from an influencer marketing or a content creation standpoint, but also from ad standpoint. I mean, I've seen that as a marketer, right? A lot of
Hmm.
things, it's evolving. It's evolving really fast, and they are, uh, I think, finding their own unique journey also, because LinkedIn is very aware how it is different as a
Yeah.
platform, and then they're building it in that manner, right? So do you see the same thing happen with respect to algorithms for LinkedIn versus other platforms? For example, I was speaking in my last chat with Priyam, who is an influencer on Insta and YouTube, right? He talked about how Instagram and YouTube themselves are so different as platforms. The algorithms are
Hmm.
very different. Of course, the
Yeah.
shorts, everything is also sort of culminating in shorts being sort of the format that works across platforms, and that's very dopamine driven. But if you keep shorts
Hmm.
aside, I think Instagram and YouTube are very different in the algorithm. So,
Yes.
what is your perspective on how LinkedIn is different or similar with respect to the other social media platforms that exist in terms of the algorithm that the platform has built?
So I wouldn't comment on Instagram or YouTube because that is not my area of expertise. But on LinkedIn, I think, of course, the algorithm is ever evolving, right? LinkedIn as a platform is also always learning about what is happening, what people are doing, and changing the algorithm. Like, I'll give you an example. A lot of people on LinkedIn use engage to boost engagement. People use these bot kind of accounts to like, comment, and share. So LinkedIn also recognizes it, and it keeps changing its algorithm to solve for these things. So one thing that I learned from somebody recently was that when somebody comments on your post, it will not happen that lots of people are commenting on your post and then it is increasing the reach of your post. Earlier it used to happen, people used to do that, people use engagement groups for that. But now LinkedIn has gone to the point of reading that content, that what is someone commenting, what is the account that is commenting, what is the content that has been commented. Is it AI generated or is it some value adding thing? So if that comment has text which has some value addition and is in context of your post, it's not just some generic nice post, this and that, that will not boost engagement. If you're writing something value adding, or if you've written, used a term or a keyword that is a new thing, right? So that will boost engagement, and that is how the algorithm will know that, okay, this is a value adding piece of content and it should reach a wider audience. So this is just an example of what I've seen, and how LinkedIn is also solving for how people are finding different hacks. Of course, the hacking system will still be there, but I still feel that authenticity, credibility, and originality of content will still always uh, beat those kind of hacks, because hacks can only take you so far, right? Uh, for consistently putting out good content, you need these key things with you. So that is in terms of the algorithm. A lot of people say that this is how you hack the algorithm, but if you see anyone's profile on LinkedIn, you will see that some posts have done very well, some posts would not have done well, right? So if there was somebody who had actually hacked the algorithm, you would see that every post, and this is across platforms, if anyone had hacked the algorithm or known ki, okay, this is exactly what works, or pinpoint that, you will see that every post, every video, every shot on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn would have gone viral. But that is not the case, right? Sometimes even you don't know what is going to work, what is not going to work. Another example that I'll give you, sometimes you put a lot of effort in writing a piece of content and you post it and you're like, this is going to go great. You'll see that there's no engagement, nothing. Matlab, it's not gone viral like you had imagined. And one day you wake up and you're like, okay, let me just, I thought of a joke and I wrote that joke and that went viral, right? So even creators for that matter will not know what is going to work, what is not going to work. It's just, it's, you never know what the audience will end up relating with. And I have seen videos of big creators also talking about in their interviews, in their podcasts, that even they did not imagine that, okay, this piece of content will go viral, and they are also wondering ki, okay, how did this go viral? Like, how did people end up relating so much with this piece of content? So nobody has hacked the algorithm like that. Of course, you can work, like you can say that at a certain posting time which works best for me. You can strategize. You can have certain things that you're doing to ensure that you're maximizing engagement. But there's no hack to the algorithm. Nobody knows the algorithm like that.
Very interesting. So you still have to focus on the core, which is the quality of content. You also
Exactly.
talked about how originality is really, really important. But does LinkedIn penalize if you, for example, use ChatGPT a lot to fine tune your content? Let's say often content creators might have a thought process, but they just want
Yeah.
fine tuning done. Do you see that, because LinkedIn itself now has an AI option, right? You can modify your
Hmm.
post using AI on LinkedIn versus if you're using an external AI tool, right? Do you see that happening, or you think that's not, that doesn't penalize usage of, let's say, LLM tools?
I think people do use AI a lot, like a lot of content. Most of the content that you will see is probably AI generated, and sometimes it also works. It's just about how smartly you are leveraging the tool. Like you said, for fine tuning your content. Even I would have put my piece of content on ChatGPT and said that, hey, why don't you check the grammar or something like that, right? Maybe you rephrase this statement for me, like I've written something and I've said that, why don't you rephrase this for me? So that is, these are some smart ways of using the tool. That is, your content originality is still there and you're still using it to fine tune, and then ultimately you're making sure that this is in my style. When the content goes out, it is in my words, right? I'm not copy pasting something. I've not put an idea on ChatGPT and said that, write a post for me, and then I'm not copy pasting that. People do that also. As of now, I feel ki, to an extent, LinkedIn has started, algorithm has started, identifying AI generated content, but people still post it. Uh, for small things here and there, to use the AI tools and LLM smartly, it can help you. It can work in your favor, and it's a smart thing to do. So you should definitely do that. I mean, there's no harm in doing that. People, I also do that, but it doesn't mean that I'm asking AI to generate my content. I'm just leveraging using the help, like you would use dictionary in Word, right?
Yeah,
It's
like a
as
Grammarly or
simple as that.
something. Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Grammarly or
Yeah.
Quillbot and all these tools, it's as simple as that.
Mm.
So that is not a problem. But beyond that, I think LinkedIn is also working towards identifying more and more of AI generated content. And of course, copied content is there. People copy each other's content on LinkedIn. There's no catch to that. I also get tagged in so many posts where people say that, hey, Avni, your post has been copied. I've got this person red handed and all. So I get tagged like that. That happens. But AI generated content, you can identify. There are certain ways to identify. Like, there are certain emojis that only ChatGPT will generate in its post. So there are certain ways of
Yeah.
writing that, you can identify ki, okay, this is AI generated. So I think algorithm
Got
will
it.
also start identifying that going forward. As of now, people who are using it smartly are able to get away with it, because even LinkedIn also recognizes the AI generated comments on the posts. So like I said, like I was talking about the comment example, right? You have to put some value adding content, or there has to be like a substantial discussion. So if the comment is also AI generated, it has started identifying you, okay, this is AI generated. A lot of people put AI generated comments, and that is also something that happens. It's very AI is literally everywhere. So, you know,
I mean, the world is changing for everyone, including for marketeers, right? We have to
yeah,
start thinking AI first everywhere, but also great insight that AI, as of now, for content creation, AI can help you make your content better. But relying on AI to create content is not the way to go, because it's
exactly,
originality
definitely,
is what the algorithm or even
right.
the platform wants, and
Like one
it's
simple,
basic psychology, yeah.
yeah. No, I was sorry. I was just saying that very simply people even put ki, okay, I want to create content around MBA, for example. Why don't you generate ideas for me, right? That is a smart way to use the tool. You can get ideas, you're just using it as an assistant to brainstorm, right? I to use chat gpt as my personal assistant. I'm like, hey, suggest, tell me this, tell me that. For like, you use Siri, right? Or okay Google, right? I use chat gpt like that for me. So my friends joke about it that, what is this who are you talking to? I'm talking to chat gpt. So
Yeah, it's become, I always say that it's become my extended brain. Even while thinking
yeah,
or forming an opinion, sometimes you just want sort of a sounding board, and
yeah,
ChatGPT does a great job
exactly.
in doing that as well.
Exactly, yes.
Right, right. And I think one more thing which we marketeers or even sort of brands, if I think of brand as an entity, often are not able to crack is that, so when a brand has a LinkedIn presence, right? Either, especially for B2B businesses, B2C, it's
Hmm.
still much easier, because you can pretend or you can behave like you are an individual, but you can't do that for B2B businesses, because you're also talking
Hmm.
to businesses, right? Often brands are either end up being very formal in their tone, or they end up being too casual and not being able to really sort of catch the vibe, if I may put it that way,
Hmm.
of the audience they're trying to target, right? So what is that secret sauce that content creators, and you also work with brands, help them execute their strategy, right? So you as a content creator and you as a content strategy person, right? How do you think brands should look at LinkedIn? What are they doing wrong? What is the secret sauce that they don't know? Or is there no secret sauce? It's just a set of things that they should be doing with discipline. What is your take on that?
Got it. Um, I think that's a loaded question, but a very important one also. So, so I'll go step by step, okay, to answer this because it is an important thing. One is LinkedIn, uh, as a platform. One most important thing is that you can reach a certain audience, and it is a certain, maybe top 1-2% of the audience, right, of who's active on LinkedIn, or the corporate working professional kind of audience. So there's a specific audience that you can reach on LinkedIn, which you probably cannot reach through other platforms. Like, imagine the CEO of a big company, or like senior people, right? They would not be scrolling Instagram or YouTube, right? So for you to want to reach that audience, LinkedIn is probably the single most effective platform, right? So that one is, of course, the audience part of it, that okay, this is the audience that I want to reach. So there's a certain audience you'll only get on LinkedIn. And to reach that audience, then there are ways, right? So second important thing is, who are the right creators to work with, right? So a lot of times when I also work with brands, or when I am choosing what creators would be a right fit for a certain thing, you have to think beyond the number of followers. Like on platforms like YouTube and Instagram, predominantly the focus is on what is the reach, what is the uh, follower count, what is the engagement that we can get. But on LinkedIn, you have to think a step ahead and say that what is the audience of this person, or what does this person do? Because on link, it's a professional platform, right? So what you do professionally also matters when you talk about something, right? So if I come from an MBA background, so I'll have a network of people in MBA or who are working post MBA earning a certain kind of income, and maybe a brand, there's a fintech brand that wants to reach that audience, right? So they would say that, okay, this is a right fit for us, right? But if the same brand, if the same fintech brand goes to a student and says that, hey, you do this post for us, that student will not have the right kind of people in their network. Maybe they might have a larger following, follower base, or might get you good reach, but it will not reach the right audience, right? So this is also one thing which on LinkedIn as a platform, you can leverage. Quality is very important on LinkedIn, because especially talking about B2B. Now let's talk about B2B versus B2C, right? B2B people, uh, you want to generate leads, right? B2B people specifically use LinkedIn for lead generation. It is the most effective platform for B2B lead generation, right? Because you're directly reaching out to businesses. So there, of course, you cannot sound very casual, and the way that B2B versus B2C works is also different, right? You have to be professional, you have to be you have to create a certain perception of your brand, that you are coming from a serious standpoint. Like, as simple as, consumer will care about what the brand stands for. Consumer will care about what, okay, what they're selling, maybe sustainability, maybe they will care about क्या price point है, कितना product कैसा है, and all. Consumerism is different, but when you're talking to businesses, what they care about is value generation. They'll care about cost, they'll care about these aspects, right? So when you are talking to businesses, or when you're trying to create a perception to attract more business from businesses, then you have to follow a very professional approach. Then you cannot do gimmicky stuff. Then you cannot do a lot of ki, I ran a fun campaign and I've posted about it. That will not attract a business to you, right? That will attract consumers to you. That will create a brand perception in the consumer's mind, but businesses will not look at it like that. So like when you said that, when it becomes too casual, it is, for the consumer to relate, it works for the consumer to relate. Like when Swiggy does a campaign, a fun campaign with, influencers or stand-up comedians, it works because the audience is able to relate. Ultimately the consumer is able to relate, right? But they will probably not use the same for, if they had to talk to businesses, they will not show them the video ki, okay, see, this is the ad that we have created, right? And this is, that will not help. That communication has to go formally. You have to talk about the, focus more on the value adding that you're doing to, or the value that you can add to their business. So that is how your marketing, or the way you are approaching the kind of content also that you're creating, has to differ. Like, I have to be relatable. If I have to relate with consumer, I have to post content which they can relate with. But if I want to attract businesses, then I have to write value adding content which says that, this is how I have, just to make it more real. uh, if I have to get more leads for marketing, right, for, if I have to get more campaigns, I'll talk about how I have added value to brands, or what is, how marketing on LinkedIn works. That will make them want to talk to me. If I start just joking about it, ki, oh, LinkedIn marketing is this, and this student posted this and that, then they'll say, ki, okay, this is some random casual person writing random things who doesn't know what they're talking about. So then that is the perception that gets created. So this is the very simple difference between what your goal is ultimately, right? If you want to generate B2B leads, you have to look or be perceived as a value adding person, or somebody who knows what they're talking about. There has to be substance. You cannot do gimmicky things. You cannot do viral or controversial campaigns or stuff just to go, viral in the, like, what we call moment marketing and stuff like that. You cannot do these gimmicky things. You have to have a strategy in place. You have to build a certain perception over time with the kind of content that you're putting out. B2C is all about, nowadays it has become more about virality, right? So that is my,
Absolutely.
I think it
So
went very
so
long,
basically
but yeah, that
substance.
is.
No, no, absolutely. I think substance over gimmick is an important one, especially for B2B businesses. But yet you still have to be relatable to your business. You're still talking to human beings. I think often B2Bs, the challenge we face is we think we are selling to businesses, but we're still selling
Mhm.
to people who are running these businesses. But
Yeah.
substance over gimmick, I think, is a key takeaway that we need to think of as B2B marketeers, right? Avni, any trend you are seeing today as a content creator on LinkedIn, which let's say no marketer is following, or marketers are not aware of, but which is going to become really big in 2025 going forward?
So I think not just LinkedIn, overall influencer marketing is just taking the front seat everywhere. Like you would see, like even last night there was, KBC had an influencer special episode, right, which got everyone talking about it. So influencer marketing is taking the center stage everywhere. I think even on LinkedIn, uh, in 2025, what even I've spoken to people and what we are seeing is this is going to grow more. There are number of creators are increasing, more and more people are creating content. Brands have started realizing the ROI that they are getting on LinkedIn, and how they are able to reach a certain filtered audience. If I have to put, if does probably the right way to put it, a filtered audience for their brand, right, or whatever is their target audience, they're able to reach a filtered audience. So I think that is something which is definitely going to grow. And in terms of trend, of course, not anything specific, but even the ASCI and all have also started realizing that there's a lot of marketing happening on LinkedIn. So they've also become strict about uh, going after people who are doing undisclosed collaboration posts. That is something that we are seeing a lot that is happening. So LinkedIn as a marketing platform is obviously it's going to grow. Like I said, LinkedIn also added a feature that is going to be there. In terms of trend, difficult to say that, to pinpoint a particular trend that this is going to take up. But yes, relatable content is something, or whenever brands have to choose a creator to work with, if they can get someone who already posts the kind of content or is in alignment with the kind of perception that they want to create, or in line with the audience that they want to reach, that is, I think, the most effective way for them to also make the most out of this platform and the money that they're putting into LinkedIn marketing. So
Absolutely. I think being more transparent or honest is also something that will happen, like you rightly said, going forward, right? Because this is becoming a mainstream channel for many brands, both B2C and B2B. So I guess more transparency, like you said, and staying on brand and identifying influencers or content creators who really relate to, who actually they're not just posting for the sake of posting, but they relate to what your vision is or what you are working towards, and there's a big overlap there, right? Great, Avani. Thank you so much. Lots and lots and lots of learnings for me as a marketer and as a LinkedIn user as well, right? To know how the platform works, and it's actually quite refreshing to hear that even despite the fact that yes, there are algorithmic things that give you a boost, right? The content originality is still very very important for LinkedIn as a platform, which I think is important for any platform to be able to sustain long term interest, right, by consumers.
yeah.
Otherwise very soon you get you get tired of sort of content which is just gimmicky and which is not meaningful. Thank you so much, Avni,
Yeah.
and I'm really rooting for you to reach 100K and then the next 500K and more. Right, I'm one of those people who follow your content, and I do find it very interesting. So all the best for that, and thank you so much for joining me today for this chat.
Thank
Thanks
you
a
so
lot.
much, Aditya. Thank you for having me. I had a wonderful conversation with you, and really looking forward to more collaborations.
Absolutely. Have a great
Thank
day.
you. You too. Thank you.